Boom! Pro Dumpster Diver back at it again today, guys. Damn, we got a hot take. So, I have some new stuff today we're going to check out, okay? So, I've got this computer over here, 1 terabyte, some medical clinic threw it out. It's got nice 4 gigabyte DVR4 RAM in it. I would like to plug it in and check to see what they got on there. Who knows what they got, all right? Now, let's go look at the good stuff. For those of you who are looking at this right now, I got 2 things. I'm going to put this up. We're going to check this out, okay? Now, what these are is that these are cell phone keypads. Now, I believe this came from either not Bluetooth, a BlackBerry, or basically something else, okay? Now, I peeled them over to look at them here, okay? This is what they are. When you have the little keyboard there, let me see if I can zoom this up better. Okay, when you have the keyboard, you can type in the numbers, you can type in a keypad, type in a letter. This is basically what it is, okay? It's a stick part that goes onto the back of the phone itself, and you have the buttons on top of it, okay? And you can type the buttons in. I guess it looks like this is basically the number pad, and this is basically where they have the letters, if you can clearly see that, which is pretty good, not bad. All right, and so companies now who are recycling cell phones, they put it into a machine, they crunch it up, and then it spits out different things. And one of the things it has is you have these little parts here. Now, you would still consider this mylar, okay? The mylar we're used to only has silver in it, but this one actually has gold, okay? There's different types of mylar. There's even mylar for medical purposes and x-rays. This mylar actually has the gold connections, okay? Now, the good part is I still have some silver here, and if you look at it, okay, if I push down, it's like a button. I can actually push down on this, and there's a gap there with this little silver piece where it connects the center part and the outside in order to make an electrical connection. That's how it is, okay? So this entire piece here, okay, as you can see, you have gold there. You'd have to scrape it off a bit, but you're pretty good. Now, this is just one phone, okay? So this one piece represents one phone, not 2 phones, 1 phone, okay? And so I have an entire bag of, how many phones? A lot of phones. I actually had it in a larger bag, but I had to separate it because these pieces here, even though they're plastic, they are sharp and they will cut plastic. So you have to wrap them in Ziploc and make them a little bit easier. And I'm gonna put some tape around it to make it better, all right? And then I separated it, and what I have is these extra ends here. These end pieces here would basically connect the screen to the other part of the phone. I separated them because they're different types of gold scrap here. See, this is for the number pad. This would basically be for the screen. So you have, a lot of these little angled part connections here, but the ends of them do have gold. So you kind of consider this gold ribbon, which is good, okay? And this part here, basically this would actually connect 2 different parts of the phone, okay? One part will connect the screen, the other part could connect the keypad. And that would basically go to a line part on that. Actually, let's flip it over to the back part there. See how it looks? It's just plain, simple circuitry that's on plastic, which isn't bad. And so I can lay it out here to actually show you, okay? Now, you're saying, how did I find this? I actually found this on eBay, and I was like, there's no way, because I don't really have gold scrap like this. The ones I have actually come from cell phones, and I'd have to break it apart by hand. And it would basically take you about 5 minutes to break apart a phone and pull one of these out. But there's a company that actually crunches up these phones, and what they're doing to make additional money during the economy is just selling off the assets. Now, that's very bad and very good. The bad part is the companies need to make money. The good part is if you're a scrapper, you see stuff like this. I now have 5 bags of gold scrap mylar. Now, why is this good? This is good because this isn't a screen. This is the thin plastic piece of mylar, which is very lightweight. Again, this is just plastic with gold on it. Now, why is that good? Because if we looked at gold fingers actually have the PCB pieces on them, okay? This here doesn't. This here is a very nice large bag of gold-plated, gold scrap mylar. I like this because I can actually pick this up and hold it, and I know there's a lot of gold in it because in these keypads, when you peel that plastic off, all of this is gonna be gold. Now, how much gold can you get from this? Let's be honest. You're gonna get a lot depending on what you paid for. And I don't know what you guys would pay for it, but if I look at this and basically say, hey, I have, how much did I actually get? Let me go on this and check this out right now that we're talking. I don't know what I got there. So let's actually go ahead and look at the, yeah, so if you can clearly see there's plastic here that can actually, I gotta be careful because the plastic itself is sharp. You have to put this whole thing in acid to properly basically do that right now, okay? So you do want to make sure you go, okay, good. I have 10 pounds, 12 ounces of all gold cell phone scrap. So all of this here, plus this, okay, and there's a lot of gold in this because again, this is just light stuff here. Plus this really doesn't have much gold. I'm happy I separated it. It's just this part here. So we're looking at 10 pounds, 12 ounces. So if we go on a calculator, 12 ounces, we want everything in grams, is 28.5, okay, plus 10 pounds of that, plus 540. Okay, we have 4,882 grams of cell phone scrap right now. 10 pounds, 12 ounces, not bad. Now, again, we're not really going to try to use the Goldfinger ratio. The Goldfinger ratio is 140 pieces of Goldfinger computer scrap to 1 gram. And the reason why I'm saying that is because a lot of this, see, it's tricky because this is light, right? But at the same time, not, when you look at gold fingers, they're covered on both sides. This isn't both sides, this is one side, right? So, that's the tricky part. So let's do it this way. Let's actually do it by a gold finger ratio. Let's divide it by 140. So let's look at all the cell phone scrap here, plus this here, plus all of this. Let's take the 4,882 grams and divide that by 140. What do we get? We get 34. So basically we're looking at 34 grams for all of this, which isn't bad. That's pretty good for your investment, whatever you paid for, right? Now, 34 grams of gold is pretty good. Now you have 28.5 grams in an ounce. So we have an ounce of gold here right now, which is good, which is worth about maybe $1,500, $1,600, $1,700, depending on how you look at it, okay? Now what we're looking at is, since we have this, how much is that worth? We're gonna take this 34.87 grams and we're gonna multiply it by $53 a gram, which is basically what gold would be. And we get 1,884 grams. So $1,884, okay? So dollars is what that's worth. With all these, this, which is pretty good, all right? So again, if you paid $1,000 for this, you could do it as a financial hobby if you want. It's up to you. I wouldn't. I paid less for it right now. But again, for those of you basically saying that's what it would be, this is just an example. Now, this could actually be worth only $900. I'm being honest, okay? Again, it's plus or minus. This would basically be just one-sided gold scrap that's probably just half full of gold, all right? But here's the thing. You'll also have to look at its weight, which is just like, it's light. It's freaking mylar, right? So again, it's very tricky, all right? So did I get a good deal on it? I believe I did. But when you do this now, it's how you melt it, all right? So when all of this is melted and you strain it out, you have to go through this with diluted water by hand and glove and wipe off all of the, now I don't know if the gold is entirely on this. I probably have to scrape it off. Actually, you know what, let's see. Let's see if there's gold. If there's no gold under it, let me see, I don't think there's gold under it right now. I think it's just plastic. It all might be just plastic. Yeah, it might all be plastic. So if that's the case there, you might have to go in and clean and rub your hand on each and every single one of them and get all the gold off inside of the water, which is good. And then once it's done, you put it in another container. So you're gonna need about, see, here's the thing. It's gonna take a lot of work with this, and the chemicals will clean it, but you have to make sure all the gold is off or you're gonna lose a gram. And you lose a gram, that's 50-something bucks. That replaces like a lot of your chemicals. So you're gonna need 6 different buckets of distilled water just to properly clean each of these off. And think about it like this, you have to clean all of these off. This is probably 1,000 maybe, or even more, maybe 2,000. You know, I don't know. But it's a lot. So again, Like, again, stuff like this is unique. I would buy this like once a year as a keepsake just to try it out and see what it is. But it's good to actually have it at that point. So as I basically said, like stuff like this is pretty good to look into and try. But again, it's a skill. Always know your math. Math is very, very important. So as we're looking at this right now, this is a very nice set. It looks gold on the camera right now, but I'm looking at it, it's actually brown. And once you take off the first plastic layer, you got the gold. So again, it's all on how it is. But I wouldn't say a division by 120. It's more likely going to be 300. So 4884 right now. Let's do it that way. 4884 divided by 300 itself will probably give you 16 grams. 16 grams times 53 is 862. Oh wow, that was actually on the low end. We had did 900. So again, just looking at something like that, that's what it would be. The reason why it would throw off, and I'll be honest with you, is probably because of that. That has a massive amount of weight and very, very little gold. But the sad part is that was also inside of it, and it came with that, okay? And then you have these pieces here. So again, it's math, right? The more math you know, it allows you to make better decisions. Because look at it, right? It looks great. It's a great thing to have on the table. It's a good conversation starter for people who are in the prepping community, scrapping community, welding community. It's good to know this right now, and it's always good to actually see how this is. But again, know your math, okay? If you paid $900 for something like this, you lost your money. Even if it was worth $1,800, the work you have to do by hand is nonsense. Because what's gonna happen is, once we put these in acid and we put them down, we have to move our hands over to get the gold off or peel off the layers, but then you'll still have plastic and the gold attached to it, in which case that has to go off. And so you're gonna have to, once that's moved off, you're gonna have gold on your hand because that happened last time. You're gonna have to go to a different bucket and then clean that off, and then a different bucket, and the last bucket itself will have the smallest amount of gold on the bottom. And then to get that off, you're gonna have to strain it. The problem is with the acid, you don't want those small pieces going through because they can definitely hang on by the ends, especially with it being sticky. Look at that, it's sticky, right? And so the sad part is you're actually gonna lose money just on the bucket system because you have to have a bucket and another bucket just to get the gold off. Once you strain it, you're gonna need the coffee strainer, but once that goes through once or twice, see, you gotta watch the flow. See, this is where it takes time. But again, it could be worth it. You know, if you make $1,000, but here's a problem, you're gonna have this sitting for a long time. So you need to make sure you have space and everything like that. Again, this is not a one-day project. That acid with heat is gonna take some time, right? What I would do is this. I would keep a pack and I would just burn everything else, right? One of the things somebody actually did online was interesting. They basically said, hey, here's a real shortcut to it. Take everything and burn the whole thing in a kiln. Right? The gold, if you put everything, let's say at 500 degrees, right? The plastic is gonna burn. Let the gold in there, let the plastic go in there and just throw borax on it, right? Now, you're not gonna get purified gold. If anything, you might get 10 karat gold or even 12 or 14 karat. But here's the difference. Jewelers will buy that. I went to a lot of pawn shops and they said if you have 14 karat scrap gold and it's solid, we'll take that sucker because they have machines that purify it and they will actually put it into a milling machine and do it themselves, okay? Which is very, very good, all right? And I could do that. I could, if I want to, I would shove this thing in the fireplace, but that's not probably safe because you're gonna be breathing in the fumes. All right, guys, I know it's a long day. I'm gonna wrap this up, all right? But remember, make sure you have skills. The more math you know, the better. Pro Dumpster Diver is out.